today we're going to look at Your Potential, another one of those classic books that should be in your library. Make sure you get this in your bookshelf from none other than the master teacher, Barnabab Dr. Malachi Zodok York L, 33 degree over 720. Your Potential. This is one of those books that everybody needs because you really don't know your hidden potential. And when you read these scrolls, the mind and this one, they help you to tap into that power that you have. The power being when you say potential. And remember, it's important that this is your potential, right? A lot of people do not know their potential and what they're capable of doing. And what this scroll does is it helps you to unlock that. Like the master says in the very first page, he says, this is yet another doorway of awareness that you are in, all right, known as the mental reservoir. It says, 3, you have the key to release the latent power of your hidden potential, right? So some people say, I know my potential, but there is also hidden potential that you're unaware of. And number 4, verse 4, it says, I, Noble Rev. Dr. Malachi Z. York L, 33 degree over 720 degrees, a reformer, right? Now, when we say 33 degree over 720, you have to recognize that 33 degree is in the world that we live in. The people that run the world are mainly what people call Masons, right? And the highest degree you can attain is 33. And again, it's very important to remember there's always a positive and a negative, or agreeable and disagreeable to everything that we speak about, in the sense of when we're talking about masonry or masons, this is to go against, right? When we talk about disagreeable and agreeable, there is a positive side and there's a negative side. In relation to this, masons, let me just finish giving you why I said Dr. York's 33 degrees over 720. In this Western world, in the system that most people are familiar with, 33 degree Mason is the highest, so they will say they're most intelligent. Of course, we know there are only really 3 degrees and the rest are honorary degrees, but when you reach that, it's the highest. When we break down that he's reached that level and above to be in a 720 degree, it's because you're dealing with someone who has mastered 360 degrees of everything in terms of what we know as knowledge, the physical world, as well as 360 degrees of what people term the spiritual world. But really, we should look at these as the seen world and the unseen world, right? Meaning that even though you see things with your eyes, we know that there are limitations to the visible spectrum. So your eyes can only see so far. They can only see between something like 400 to 600, 700 nanometers, right? That's the visible light spectrum. And the word see is very important because when we're dealing with Masons, you'll see the symbol. You can take out the dollar bill and see the symbol on the dollar bill, on the capstone, and you can count the levels. But this is signifying that you're at the top of the pyramid. So when you start to look at, when I'm saying agreeable and disagreeable, you have people like Albertus Magnus and people like Albert Pike. I'm not going to go into too much detail to stray away from the subject matter of your potential, but it does relate. Albert Pike took over from Albertus Magnus, and this relates to the people who pioneered Euromasonry. When we're talking about Masons, right? These are the ones that push light, as in when people hear Illuminati, but there are people behind what people are calling the Illuminati, or illuminated ones, or the ones that are enlightened. Those who are at the top, who have the ability to see in what they would term darkness, are supposed to be enlightened, or they have the ability to see from above, have an aerial view over all things, and they control things. Dr. York, having mastered both the physical and the spiritual, the seen and the unseen, gives you, when you add this up, 6 plus 6 is 12, take the 1 over, 3 plus 3, 6 plus 7. This is how you get the 720 degrees. So when he's giving us these jewels and putting out these books like The Mind, Your Potential, he's showing you and helping you to climb the ladder, climb Jacob's ladder, which is when you look at your spinal column, we have your 33 vertebrae, right? And that's when you climb up Jacob's ladder, or the Kundalini. People say, oh, Kundalini awakening, right? This is what we're talking about. That double helix where you climb up to get to the top, where you activate your pineal gland, right? So your potential, or more importantly, the hidden potential, because you may not realize that you have potential that is hidden. And a being that is a master of teaching and that has mastered both the seen world and the unseen world, or the spiritual and physical, coming from the darkness, because remember, I said the visible spectrum, because if you look at the electromagnetic spectrum, which we can go into another time, but it deals with electricity, it deals with how you're powered up, it deals with you as a being. Although these disagreeable Masons who desecrated where they got it from, because again, this is a pyramid, right? And pyramids are known where to have existed in what? Egypt. Mid, Pyra or Pyrrha, means the middle fire. That middle fire, your solar plexus, is what needs to be activated to help you to tap into your hidden potential, to rise and be at the top. Even though they push light and being enlightened, we know that light comes from darkness. How do we know this? Because in the Bible, in their scriptures, it says that God said, let there be light. And light was created, and light has a speed which travels 186,272 feet per second. So light, no matter how fast it travels, it cannot escape the darkness. So this becomes, in life, when you're dealing with your physical, you're only limited to seeing a certain tunnel vision view. And they use the owl. If you look at the owl, the bird, they use that as a symbol. And why is that? The owl has eyes on the front, like a person. And the owl is able to rotate its neck 360 degrees. And the reason they're saying that, because they say this is what? The all-seeing eye. The beings that are saying they're 33-degree Masons, they've climbed up this. And when you study Masonry and go into it in detail, you find out that you have the Scottish Rite and the York Rite, and you climb up 2 separate ladders after you get past your first, second, and third. All right, this is all public domain information. You can actually Google this and find that. But the point is that there are only 3, but they double it up by getting honorary degrees to reach the 33. So 33, when you look at 360, which is really representing a circumference or a full, they say, completion of information. That's where you get that circle is supposed to be 360 degrees, right? And then you have the square, which is also 360 degrees, because you have 490-degree angles, which give you the 360. So the spiritual world, which has no beginning or ending, is referred to really by the circle, because you have a physical circle, where you also have the counterpart, which is in the unseen. Then you have the square represents the physical, the circle represents the spiritual. All right, so going back to the book, Your Potential, the whole point of the master teacher writing this book is to raise you and get you to the point where you are the person that's at the top with the all-seeing eye. So this scroll is saying that, I'll read again from verse 2, and this is yet another doorway of awareness that you are in, called a mental reservoir. 3, you have the key to release the latent power of your hidden potential. 4, I, Noble Rev. Dr. Malachi Z. York L., 33 degrees over 720 degrees, known by many titles as Asaid Isa al-Hadi al-Mahdi of the West, as prophesied in the Shriner's own doctrine under Toric rites in the book, The Ancient Arabic Order and Nobles of the Mystic Shrine, June 24th, 1903. All right, these are books you can go and research by Noble Geo L. Root of Muhammad Temple, chartered June the 12th, 1893 AD, all right, in Peoria, Illinois. It clearly tells you to expect al-Mahdi. And we know there's a fake Mahdi parading around, just like the many fake Jesuses, many fake messiahs, many fake prophets, many fake people that always try to claim to be or take on titles that they do not deliver. It says that Al-Mahdi, after the millennium, which is after the year 2000 AD, and vow takers are figuratively expected to accept the prophecy of the approaching millennium, the warning of the ulema, learned elders, all right, the appearance of Al-Mahdi, the guide. Remember, this book came out way before the year 2000, and that was something that was prophesied in that book. So he says here that the Mahdi will arrive, the guide will arrive at the end of the world. And he says, I have arrived and was sent to break the spell of sleep, Leviathan, kingly, to dispel of it forever. And many of you, mummies, are waking up from your sarcophagus to prepare you for the coming of the Savior. All right. And 5, it says, yet you still must learn how to utilize the power of the mind through positive thinking, meditation, and visualization. 6, if you have a goal set in your mind, visualize obtaining it. 7, whatever you put in the mind as your goal is within your grasp. As Proverbs 23:7 says so clearly, for as he thinketh in his heart, so is he. Right? King James Version. 8, yes, you can make it happen. Right? So it's basically telling you that you can make anything you put into your mind happen through positive meditation. And you have to remember that the way the mind works is that it's like planting seeds, and whatever you plant will grow. So if you plant negativity, that's going to grow. You plant positivity, that's going to grow. This is why no matter who you are, in terms of the best thinkers in the world, the most intelligent people in the world, they come together and they agree on one thing unanimously, and that is the power of the mind. This is where you get all the motivational speakers and everybody's telling you about you can do it. And yes, you can, regardless of your color, your religion, you'll accept or do not accept. If you plant those seeds, they will grow. The mind is that cultivation point where you put something in, nurture it, and it will grow. So it is important that you recognize that and given that ability through your mind. So, well, humans with their ego tend to think the mind belongs to them, when in reality it is attached to one central source, as we mentioned in the mind book called the mental reservoir. So under the schools of Freemasonry enshrined them, this is verse 10, you will be able to focus and bring about more positive results and have a more progressive life than you ever imagined. As the wise men, you serve the master and receive the gifts of heaven. All right. So, of course, you have to obtain your own copy. So I'm not reading it consecutively. I'm just giving you the jewels. Right. So in order for you to maintain this, you must overstand and control your nature, which will give you an understanding of the capabilities that lay dormant within your being. And this information, this is above race, tribe, or even nationality. 12, for within nature there is positive and negative. 13, you must, and I stress, use only the positive, which will also realign you with your higher self. Yeah? With this, you will be given free will. You must be in control. John 8:32, and that reads, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. Yeah? Ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And that's right out of the King James Version. Verse 15, by breaking the malevolent, disagreeable. When we say malevolent, when you say malevolent, you're dealing with the negative aspect or the disagreeable side. And then you have the benevolent, which is the agreeable or good side. The battle between your 180-degree disagreeable and your 180-degree agreeable, which are both parts of your nature. And this is the bit that religions, they try to, especially Christianity, they try to tell you to be good all the time, be good, when you have a different side to you, and then they can't explain how does devilishment come in, or sin, and how do people do these things that are not considered to be good, you see. So it's about learning that you have both natures and how to control the disagreeable, or what we were saying, the malevolent side, so that you can utilize the positive or the benevolent side. Going back to verse 15, by breaking the malevolent, disagreeable habits that have been acquired through one's lifetime. 16, you have fallen so far from your divinity. All others know ye are gods, right? That again, that's in Psalms 82:6, where it says, I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Okay, you can check that out for yourself in the King James Version. Then it says, is it not written in your law, I said, ye are gods? That's also in the New Testament, John 10:34. 17, it is time to make that journey within to the real you, the divine you. You're not merely a mortal, you are a child of God. This is what the Lord Jesus Christ was sent to teach. Discover or rediscover the higher potential within the higher self as a living soul. Again, you go to Genesis 2:7, it talks about how God breathed into man and man became a living soul. Okay? You're becoming, right? Because that's what you're growing into. And so man was apparently formed, God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. So you're a living soul, okay? Study the wisdom found in this scroll and your Bible and the noble Quran, for it will uplift you, as well as take the mind to another level of thinking. I'm going to go into what is potential and then leave it there. So, what is potential? Lo, what is potential or potentate? A man who has shown his potential. What does potential mean to you and your life? And what will make you understand what potential you have? 2. The word potential, as used in English, is taken from many other languages. 3. According to the American Heritage Dictionary, the word potential is defined as potential. Adjective. 1. Capable of being but not yet in existence. Latent. A potential problem. 2. Having possibility, capability, or power. 3. Grammar. Of relating to or being a verbal construction with auxiliaries such as may or can. Potential. 1. The inherent ability or capacity for growth or coming into being. 2. Something possessing the capacity for growth or development. From Middle English, potential. From Old French, potentiel. From Late Latin, potentialis, power, powerful. From Latin, potentia, power. From potens, present, participle of posse or posse, to be able. 4. Look at it in Middle English, potential. From Old French, potentiel. From Late Latin, potentialis, powerful. From Latin, potentia, power. From present, participle of posse, to be able. 5. Now look at the word potentate used in the higher ranking Freemasons and Shriners as in the Imperial Grand Potentate. 6. What does that mean? Well, according to the American Heritage Dictionary, the word potentate is defined as potentate, one who has the power and position to rule over others. A monarch. Two, one who dominates or leads a group or an endeavor. Industrial potentates. Middle English, potentat. From Old French, from late Latin, power. From potent, present participle of post, to be able. These Latin words, man. 8. First, let's look at potent. According to American Heritage Dictionary, potent, 1, possessing inner or physical strength, powerful. 2a, to exerting or capable of exerting strong physiological or chemical effects. 3, having great control or authority. 4, able to perform sexual intercourse. 9. Now let's look at impotent. According to the American Heritage Dictionary, impotent, 1, lacking physical strength or vigor, weak. 2, lacking in power as to act effectively, helpless. 3a, incapable of sexual intercourse, often because of an inability to achieve or sustain an erection. All right, so it starts off just going into, again, when we talk about an erection and dealing with the obelisk is an erected pillar that you see in most cities that are referred to as what? The capital of a country. They will normally erect an obelisk. Like you go to Washington, DC, in America, you see the obelisk. This obelisk, as you can see, is obviously symbolic of the phallus, a penis, to make it simple. And this relates to the ability. You can even see how they do it, so that this would be what they call the capstone. Same as you have this on the top of the pyramid. So there's a pyramid on top of the capital. But we know that this light pyramid also, this comes from Egypt as well, known as the benben. As I said, you can see that even looks like the tip of a penis. And this is responsible for power, because through the penis is how the light or the sperm produced life comes in. Of course, the woman is also recognized. Why you will always see both the obelisk and a dome, yeah, in most churches and mosques, right? You might have a cross on top with a dome, and that's symbolic of the woman with the breast or the mammary glands of a woman, and the two, man and woman, come together to produce life. That's really the power. And ironically, the problems that we started to have with so-called zoning issues when we were building on our land on Tamari was when this went up to establish, as I said, the capital of Wahan. All right. So yeah, Potential is a very deep book, as you can see from the cover, where it goes into who really has power or potential, and what is that hidden power that you have. And once you know this information, it's going to change your life. It's going to open you up to be able to manifest and do anything you would like to do. So we're going to leave it there for today. That's your potential. Get hold of your copy.